Hello, and welcome back to the PNN. My name is Parker Tapp. Rounding out our week of focusing on the development and investment in our talents, I thought it was important to help define what it is that we are, who we are, to discover ourselves in order to discover our talents and how to exploit them to the fullest. I know I mentioned yesterday about reflection and passion and what your goals in life are, but some people can find it very difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff, to find your way through the fog and mist of life. Especially now. With the advent of the internet, there's so much advice out there from multiple different angles. Politicians, businessmen, Joe Schmoes on the street. I fall into the latter. I am no expert on the topic, but I, on my personal development journey, have read extensively on the topic, and there are a lot of contradictory answers to the questions to answers we thought we knew, and then questions we didn't even think to ask. So it is a very complicated area of personal development. But I found this really, I'd say, moving article in my deep stash. Again, this is just a quick overview of articles and books and stuff like that in the realm of self-development and personal improvement. That is an app, and it gives you just a quick brief overview of the major points and topics. And I found it so interesting that I went to the article on success.org, and I was so moved by the article that I thought I would make a video discussing its ideas to round out our week of talent development, which started with our parable of the talents on Monday. So, in the spirit of the image in the lower right-hand corner of taking a mirror and reflecting upon ourselves, let's get into it. So, first off, what is reflection, besides the thing you see in the mirror when you wake up every morning? Well, basically, reflection is the act of focusing on particular thoughts or ideas and trying to establish a concrete basis in the world around you. You see, when you reflect something, the light bounces up, hits the mirror, and then bounces back to you. So it's asking a question and receiving an answer, and the answer being a reflection of yourself. So these questions too should be a reflection of yourself. The questions is the beam of light that is emanating from you and is bouncing off the mirror and is proceeding to strike you again. The answer is the beam of light that is bouncing off the mirror and coming to you. That will help define who you are, what you want, and where you wish to go. This is different from introspection, I like to point out, or at least the article liked to point out. Upon further research, there was great debate over the difference between reflection and introspection. So I'll put that disclaimer in here. But according to the article, in which I think is more telling, is that introspection is basically just a general self-evaluation of a person's mental or emotional state, often within a philosophical context of religion or personal morality. I'm not saying introspection is a bad thing. I think we all need to be both reflective and introspective on occasion. But introspection, as we'll talk about on the next slide, can carry with it some baggage and side effects. Reflection can too, but introspection, psychologically speaking, can. So the rule of thumb for remembering this is reflection is looking at the facts. Introspection includes a philosophical or moral aspect as well. Which one is better for personal development? According to the article, reflection is better because it is looking in, so you can gain a bigger, broader, well-thought, accurate perspective on a particular idea or topic. Typically, yourself, trying to better understand yourself. Whereas introspection is simply looking in without necessarily finding answers, only making observations, and can sometimes lead to pessimism and depression, because people can often be overly hard on themselves because they make an observation, oh, I didn't get this done today, so I'm lazy because my religion, morality, upbringing, general life experiences tell me I was lazy today. And then you get into a funk. And then sometimes that funk will roll over to the next day and the next day. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that particular definition. I like the idea that introspection is a more intimate form of reflection, digging really deep into yourself and finding out what really makes you tick. But I think taking the idea of reflection, it has more practical use in your life, whereas introspection is more about defining your personal values or philosophy. So introspection will be important in the process in answering these questions, but the reflection part will what puts your goals and your dreams and what you want to do and where you want to be into action, because it will involve both taking the introspective part of the observation and maybe within a moral or temporal framework, and then applying it to where you are in your life and where you wish to be. So that is it for that. So moving on swiftly. So how to make the best use of these questions. This is a piece of advice I got both from the article and just my general observations. So you may take away different things from the article. Again, I always recommend that my viewers go back and read the articles for themselves to get what they get out of it. What I do here is just a brief summary and a few pieces of actionable advice, because we're all about taking action here. So the goal of these questions is self-awareness. To become self-aware is to know yourself. To be self-aware, you must be authentic to yourself to gain the most accurate picture. Authenticity breeds self-awareness. I've never met someone who pretended to be something they weren't and was self-aware of what they wanted to do and where they wanted to be. They were often pretending, for whatever reason, parents, friends, society, to be something that they didn't want to be. It's the lawyer who loves art and wanted to become an artist, but instead became a lawyer. The priest that is infatuated with science and decides but was forced into the priesthood, or vice versa. It is something that many of us, especially us teens in these turbulent times, have been forced into. Not following the path or the drum beat of our own tune, but rather what society and what the pressures have forced us to do. Which I have to say, on the bright side, that this pandemic has forced a lot of people to reevaluate and to look inward as well as outward and redefine where they want to go and what they want to do. Something that's more in tune with themselves and more self-aware and authentic. But enough about that. So the important part, in order to be authentic to yourself and gain self-awareness, is to answer the questions honestly and bluntly, to the point. Don't go on rambling monologues when you're writing these down, or trying to write it or edit it for someone else to read. As I said in the journaling episode during the 30-day challenge, this is something for you and you alone. It is something that you are writing down to define yourself. It's not meant for anyone else. So be honest. It's even brutally honest to a point. And take your time and focus on your reflection. Set aside how much of a time you need. 10 minutes, an hour, a day, and sit down and focus on it intently. Put away the technology, find a nice quiet space, maybe even outside, and just sit and contemplate and reflect and write down what comes to you as the answers to these questions. Another important point, consider all the aspects of your life, and as these apply to your questions, your childhood, your memories, your work, your business, your family, your friends. Consider all the aspects in reflection to the questions, and then take those aspects and combine them into your answers. And lastly, as you reflect, remember the past is the past. Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. It's never too late to start over and learn from those past mistakes. This is what exploiting your talents and finding your true meaning, purpose, goals, and dreams in life is. That is the goal of this channel, and this is the goal of the series over the past week. So, drumroll please, da-da-da! The 5 questions, brought to you by success.org, which I have read and have credited in the sources of this video. So, what are your 5 non-negotiable values in life, something that you wouldn't compromise even if you were given $1 billion or control of the universe or something like that. What are they? It could be family, loyalty, courage, honor, hard work, discipline, devotion to friends, family, country, patriotism. It can be anything, but they have to be your values, what's non-negotiable to you, what you will never give up no matter what. Second question, what would I do if I was guaranteed success? So, if I wanted to start a business or become a bodybuilder, would I do it if I was guaranteed success? Well, that's up to your personal preferences and opinion. But just think, you can look at your aspects in this life. Would I ask that particular person out on a date? Would I run that mile if I was guaranteed to succeed in running it on the time I want? Would I put in the effort to do it, knowing that success was guaranteed for me? If the answer is yes, then you've probably found your passion and what it is means, your goal in your life. If it's a no, then you should probably move on, because if you wouldn't do it even if your success was guaranteed, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And there's the flip side of that, you know, even if success wasn't guaranteed, would you do it as well? It's sort of a dual question that you should ask yourself, so you can get both sides of the coin and assess it against your personal vision. Third, what are the experiences I want to have? Do you want to wake up every day, on the beach, living a life of financial freedom? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to serve your community? Write down those experiences that you want to have. Fourth, this is more of a practical one. What is on my schedule that doesn't need to be there? What things can I abandon, get rid of, don't serve me and my purpose? Axe them right off that schedule of yours. And then when you're thinking about making new commitments and obligations, think and say, what obligations will I regret obligating myself to? Or after the commitment period has passed, usually 2 to 3 days after you say yes to something, will I start saying, oh, I really don't want to go, or I really don't feel like being obligated in that way? So ask yourself that question, and if you find obligations or events that pop up that you're invited to or asked to participate in, and you ask yourself that question and you think long and hard about it, and you realize it doesn't really fit in with what you want, then you should axe that out as well. Lastly, number 5, what am I doing that I don't enjoy? And what am I doing that I love? So basically, what are the things that I'm only doing because I'm being forced to do it? Maybe it's peer pressure, the pressure of society in general, pressure from family, the pressure to survive. What are those things that you wouldn't do if you weren't being forced to do it? And then find out, what are the things that I love? What are the things that I would do no matter what, whether I was forced to do it or not? And typically the things that you would love to do, no matter what, are your reasons, your dreams, the things that you are most passionate about and can devote the most to, and can develop and perfect the most. Those things that you're forced to do, you should, as soon as possible, push them to the side, get rid of them, because each person is a unique individual, and you shouldn't be forced into some cookie cutter mold that everyone expects, and you shouldn't expect that from yourself either. So those are the 5 questions. I suggest you take some time, look them over, and carefully answer each and every one, and think long and hard about your answers. Not too long, don't spend 2 to 3 days or 2 to 3 weeks on it. I would say no more than a day, but think and reflect. Don't rush headlong into it, or go through it quickly and answer it in a rush, 5 minutes before you have to walk out the door. But then again, don't sit and think about it for an overly long period of time, because then you start questioning yourself and self-doubt creeps in, and then you get stuck in your own head and you get that cycle in your brain where you constantly have to keep thinking and reevaluating and refining it. Those perfectionist tendencies don't. After you've written it down, post it somewhere in your room, private quarters, and look at it, but don't edit it. And then maybe a year or two goes by, and maybe some of those things have changed. Do this exercise again and recalibrate yourself. That's my advice for you that I've gotten from this article. So, I hope you enjoyed it. As always, here's my sources and further reading. I will leave them in the description below. I hope you found this insightful, and I invite your comments on your answers to these questions and how it helps you in your own personal development journey. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, this is the PNN Broadcast, signing off.